Ahoy, Minnetonka. I'm David Law, Superintendent of Minnetonka Schools. Thank you for joining us for this episode of our district podcast, Ahoy, Minnetonka. One of the exceptional parts of the Minnetonka School District is the robust preschool program. Here to share more about it and to share details about registration for it are Coordinator of Minnetonka Preschool, ECFE and Junior Explorers, Molly Bahneman, and ECFE and Preschool Parent, Mary Cornelius. Thank you for each of you for being here. We'd love to know a little bit more about you and your connection to the district.
I'm Molly Bahneman, and I'm the Coordinator of Minnetonka Preschool, ECFE and Junior Explorers. This is my 9th year in the district. I'm in my 3rd role, and I really enjoy this one the most so far. I have a 4th grader at Excelsior Elementary School and a 6th grader at Minnetonka Middle School West as well.
Awesome. Mary?
I'm Mary Cornelius. I'm communications specialist for the district. I've been working here for 5 years, but today I'm wearing my parent hat. I am also the mom of a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So my 4-year-old son is currently in the outdoor adventure preschool class, and then I have a 2-year-old daughter as well, where we're excited to have her be joining the ECFE program for next year.
Awesome. Thanks for taking time to be here. Molly, I've had the chance to be in these classrooms dozens of times. But from the perspective of someone who supervises this part of public education, what makes our program so unique?
Our teachers. We have licensed teachers in all of our classrooms who are really experts in child development and early learning. They love what they do, and it shows. When I give tours to parents, the first thing that they say is, I really like the way it feels in here. It's got a really good vibe. We are unique in that we work together with all of the people in the building who are servicing the family. So our Junior Explorers program, our preschool program, and our early childhood special ed program, we're all one team circling around a family. Mm-hmm. So for a child, their experiences, we're just all the adults who love them when they come to school. Some kids are with us all day. Our childcare program is open from 6:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. And so they may go from Explorers up to preschool, then maybe to an enrichment class and back down to Explorers. And we don't want them to feel like they're moving from space to space to space. We just want them to feel like they're in their building, doing the things that they do.
Well, when I walk in, I notice that, maybe the public perception for preschool is there's a teacher with 15 students. It's rare when I'm in a classroom when there aren't 3 or 4 adults in the classroom. Are our ratios pretty standard? It seems like we staff very well to support our students.
We are a 1 to 10 ratio. Most of our classrooms are 1 to 9. A lot of times when you're seeing a lot of adults in a classroom, it's because it's an integrated classroom. So there's a student in there that may be receiving special ed services, and so they have additional supports in there. If it's a non-integrated classroom, there'll be 2 adults to 18 kids.
Good. Lots of support for young learners.
Yep.
So tell me about ECFE compared to preschool. There are parents out there who maybe are expecting them for their first child and these jargon in education. What's an ECFE versus a preschool classroom?
So ECFE stands for Early Childhood Family Education. It's a state-funded program set up to help parents be their best selves. For babies up until 1 year old, parents and children come together and stay together for the whole class. There's a parent educator who's licensed through the state of Minnesota and an early childhood educator who also holds a license, and then often also a para in the room. Parents are playing with their kids, with the adults, to kind of better understand what's happening when they're playing. Kids learn through play. So we're trying to help parents find ways to engage with their children to know how when they're doing certain things, they're actually teaching them early literacy skills and early math skills and early social skills. It's really nice for the parents because they get to meet other people who are at the same life phase as they are. They can talk about what it's like to be sleepless at night, as we know happens when we have little kids, or what we do when our kids start biting, or if we're having a hard time with potty training, or the joys that we have watching the things that they do, the first step that they take, the first time that they sleep through the night in a long time. So it's really meant to be a support system for the whole family. The main statement of ECFE is that parents are the first and most important teacher, and we're just there to reassure them that they are.
Sometimes grandmas and grandpas or a family friend has to be the ECFE mom or dad. That's Absolutely. Acceptable in ECFE?
Yes, we have aunts that come, we have nannies that come, we have moms and dads that come together. Every adult is welcome to come because what it means is that kid is getting a very, very great village wrapped around them.
And does ECFE, is that like one night for 2 hours a week? How does that meet throughout the week? What are the options we offer for early childhood family education?
So typically ECFE classes meet 1 day a week. If it's a non-separating class, it's an hour and a half. If it's a separating class, it's an hour and 45 minutes. We have some classes that allow for parents to come with multiple age children. So an example, ECFE for Everyone is for a class where maybe there's a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and a parent wants to come with both kids and they can be in class together. And then the parent leaves and goes to parent education time, and the kids stay back and play with the child educator. And during parent education time, we're talking about really similar things for each age and stage. So sleep, toileting, eating, behavior. How do we parent with support? How do we find support as parents? How do we develop who we want to be as parents? And it's really the parent educator leading a group discussion. You want to talk a little bit more about your
I
experience?
have one other question, Mary, before I get to you. Yeah. Do I have to live in the Minnetonka School District to attend preschool or ECFE?
Nope, and you don't have to complete the open enrollment information either. It's open to anyone. It's when you decide that you would like to open enroll into kindergarten that you would need to fill that paperwork out through the state of Minnesota.
Okay, now I'm going to kick over to Mary, who has experienced ECFE and preschool. Mary, what's it been like to come through this program, through both of those programs?
Yeah, so my first class that I did with my son Norman, who's now 4, we did an ECFE class when he was 18 months to 2 years old. And it was, so he's a 2020 baby, really just in an interesting cohort, parenting in the middle of the pandemic with so many changes. And so being able to, I think like Molly said, just being with other parents is always important who are at that same life stage, but especially for us parents who are becoming new moms in 2020, really having that time to come together and just talk about the challenges and what we're going through was so powerful. And it was really fun to see my son for the first time engaging with other kids and starting to build friendships and figuring out what does it mean to take turns, and oh, you're playing with the toy, so how do I manage my emotions about that? And even in that 18-month to 2-year-old range, the parent educators are working with kids for the skills on how they can be building friendships and working together. So that was a really just nurturing whole, it was a whole year that we were together, September through May. And those friendships that I built with that group of parents was really wonderful. And it's fun now because in the 4-year-old preschool class where Norman is, I think 5 of the kids who are in his class were actually in that ECFE cohort. So they're moms that I'm like, oh, I remember being at your kid's 2-year-old birthday party, and now here we're all applying, we're going through the process to register for kindergarten together. And so it's just really fun having that built-in community that we've been together, even though our kids are young, that we've been together for a while, and that's been really special. And then one more thing I was thinking about when you're talking about can anyone come to ECFE in that year. I would go sometimes with my son, my husband would go, and my mom would take him, and everybody who went felt really welcome and really felt like they learned a lot from the experience.
That's amazing. Now, I know that we're in the window of time where kindergarten is happening. Has there been some kindergarten transition help through preschool?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me that it's been, it's really nerve-wracking getting ready for that life change, even when it's been amazing for me watching, because he's a June birthday, and so on the younger edge of the cohort, and so I was really nervous, is he gonna be ready for kindergarten? That's a big change. And it was so funny talking with Molly. She's like, Mary, the whole point of preschool, and especially Minnetonka Preschool, we know we're preparing kids to be in Minnetonka kindergarten, and I've really seen those skills in him just blossom, whether it's some of the social emotional learning, how do I share, how do I take turns, how do I engage with my peers, and when we're having conflicts. Hearing him talk about, they have Wednesday Friends Day in his class where they'll pull popsicle sticks, and they get paired with a different student, and that's their friend for the day who they get to just practice those skills with. And then the early literacy stuff too has really been amazing. It just blows my mind when he comes home talking, they learned about syllables, and so he was, I guess the activity, they were clapping out how many syllables were in different words. So we're driving home and he's in the back of the car, Mary, Captain Underpants, 5 syllables. I'm like, you're right, 5 syllables. So,
Well, Molly, I want to come back to, I asked about ECFE. For preschool, what are the options for families to choose? How many days a week, how many hours a day? You referenced Junior Explorers and the wraparound service, but for the actual program, if I'm a parent who's just going to come and drop off my student and pick them up, what are those options?
So we have a section for pre-threes. So for kiddos that missed that September 1st cutoff, they can come for 2 days a week for 2 hours. And then once they are 3 by September 1st, they can come 2, 3, or 4 days a week. And those classes are 2.5 hours long. And then once they turn 4, so September 1st, they can be 3, 4, or 5 days a week for 3 hours. We ask parents to register for just one preschool class if they need all-day care to utilize Junior Explorers as a way to wrap around. We have morning and afternoon classes. Most of our 3-year-old classes are in the morning. We do have one afternoon option. That's good for kiddos that are non-nappers, right? Or just some kids are just slow to get up in the morning, and they just need some time to be kids before they can attend in a classroom. Because when they're in preschool, we're doing a lot of work. It looks like play, and it is play, but it's really structured play, and it's structured in a way that's like, Friends Day Wednesday, you pulled that stick, we're buddies, so this is what's going to happen today. And that can be a lot of work for a 4-year-old. So we want to be really cognizant of that, and that's why our class lengths are the times that they are.
Are there open house opportunities for parents ahead of preschool?
Yep, our open house is on Saturday, January 25th from 9:30 to 11:30, and it's a come as you want. There will be 2 presentations, one at 9:45 and one at 10:45, that just kind of give an overview of here's what we do here, here are things you can expect, here's how you register, and then it's a lot of answering of questions. It's very confusing for parents as they go to register because we create the Junior Explorers registration to be a la carte. So we know we have families whose grandparents watch a day of the week, and so we want you to be able to get everything you need, but it means that you have to kind of know what your preschool schedule is and then work around it with Junior Explorers, and it can be confusing. So we're there to answer those questions.
I know parents are probably asked, like maybe Mary, you can remember, when you go through the process, do you get your first choice? Do you feel like there's a rush?
So it's online registration, and I think it just, the nature of the beast is it's a little stressful. You get online at 8 o'clock whenever it opens up, and so my son right now is in the nature adventure class for 4-year-olds, which they spend in this, fall and spring, they actually spend the whole day outside. The winter time right now, they start the day outside and then they move to an indoor classroom. But when we first registered, that class had a waiting list. And so we picked another class that was at a time that worked well for our family. And I think the nice thing for me is I was like, I knew it was going to be a spot where he was going to grow, whether he was in that class or a different class. But so we were on the waiting list for a little bit, and then there was a spot that opened up in that class.
Molly, I know she mentioned the nature adventure class. There's other specialty programs within preschool, aren't there?
Yep, so in our afternoon classes for our 4-year-olds, we have 3 specialized classes. We have nature preschool, which is 3 days a week in the afternoon. We have Spanish immersion preschool, which is 4 days a week in the afternoon. And we have a new class that we're starting this upcoming school year that's full steam ahead. So it's focusing on science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Wow. And that'll be 3 afternoons a week as well.
What percentage of our preschool classes fill? How likely is it a parent might say, I'm worried that I'm not going to get in?
Our specialty classes tend to fill quickly because people are choosing that and there's not another option. So there's one section of each of those. Over time, our 5-day-a-week classes fill. Last year, our pre-threes class filled right away, so we opened an additional section. Okay. So we try to, where we can, create more room when we see demand. We can't create more room for nature, Spanish, or the STEAM class just simply because of the time that they're offered and they're specialized.
Earlier you mentioned enrichment classes as part of a student's day. What does that mean for parents?
So preschool and ECFE are part of the community education program in the district, and so we partner with our youth enrichment and youth recreation program managers to offer opportunities in the building during the day so preschool age students can do Spanish class or art class, there's amazing athletes, there's dance, there's soccer. So if you choose to sign up for an enrichment class in addition to your Junior Explorers and your preschool day, we will help make sure that they get to and from that class.
And all those are within like an 8 to 4 time frame?
Yeah, sometimes a little bit later in the afternoon too. So sometimes a child will go to that and then mom and dad will pick up at dance rather than at Explorers. But we help them get their dance gear on and walk them to class. And then watch because it's adorable.
So tell me the time frame. You said there's an open house coming up this month. Yep. When does the registration window open and when should parents start logging in and looking?
Sure. So again, the open house is on Saturday, January 25th, 9:30 to 11:30. No registration is required. Just come. You can bring your kids. We will offer childcare during the presentations so that you can listen more intently. Mary remembers from last year. We also have activities for kids. So we do some face painting. There's some temporary tattoos. They can hang out in our gym. Our PTO is there so they can meet some parents and ask questions directly of parents of why they chose us and what they like. And then registration will open on Thursday, January 30th at 7:30 in the morning. So we recommend for families, especially families that would like to take a specialized class, to set up their LEO account so that they're kind of ready to go. And we recommend that you register for your preschool class first. You get an instant registration confirmation for preschool. And then when you register for Explorers, you'll get an email that lets you know that you have a contract request in, and that will stay that way for a while because it's a puzzle that we have to put together.
Sure.
So you'll automatically be enrolled in your preschool class and know you have that spot, and you're more than likely going to get your Explorers request approved. We just have to wait till we see who's needing what care.
So I'm going to double back down. What's the window of time where registration starts? They should set up an ELEO account ahead of time so they can just log in and click, and that's all on the Community Ed website, is that correct?
Correct.
And what's the date and time?
It's Thursday, January 30th at 7:30 a.m.
Perfect. Okay, you said something else in there that parents probably didn't pick up. PTO and PTA for preschool, what do they do?
They have dance parties and a spring fair, and they support our teachers in our classrooms. So, you know, a lot of times there's specialized toys that kids are really interested in, but it's not something we would necessarily have as a toy in our classroom, but would be a great learning tool. And so our teachers will put a request into the PTO, and the PTO will help to purchase that with the monies that they fundraised. They do amazing things for the teachers to support them and show them that they care. And they support me in getting the word out about Minnetonka Preschool and why people should choose us. There are a lot of options out there, a lot of great options out there.
Right.
So,
well, as we're wrapping up, is there anything about preschool or early childhood family education or Junior Explorers or specialty programs that I didn't ask that you'd want to make sure we share with the public?
I would just say that our ECFE class registration will open in May this year, which is different than in the past. We have found that people don't really know exactly what they're doing with an unborn baby in January for September, so we're just pushing the date back a little bit to give people more time to kind of figure out what they want to do, but that the classes will be published and sent out, and registration will open in May.
Awesome.
I think I just want to give a shout out to the Junior Explorers team. I know, I just want to echo everything you said about the teachers, because our experience with the teachers have been so amazing, and you know, just been so caring and so full of insight for how we can really just nurture our kid with, you know, all of his special, you know, interests and unique characteristics. But the Junior Explorers staff is just, they've been really helpful for us. And you know, my son, he goes to his preschool class and then Junior Explorers at the end of the day before I pick him up after work. And he just, even though he only goes for an hour and a half, he feels so welcome. And they're just amazing. So I wanted to shout them out a little bit.
We don't have a lot of staff turnover, so that makes for a lot of consistency for families. So we'll have families that have had 3 kids that have all had the same teacher in Junior Explorers, which is pretty great.
That's awesome. So Molly, you talked about the open house. Where is that happening?
So Minnetonka Preschool, ECFE, and Junior Explorers are located at the Minnetonka Community Education Center, which is 4584 Vine Hill Road, right next to Deephaven Elementary School.
Okay.
So the Minnetonka Community Education Center is really unique in that we have our own designated gym space, we have a motor room, we have space for those community classes I talked about, we have a dance studio, we have a wonderful playground that was built just a couple of years ago that the kids really love, and then we also have an outdoor classroom or an outdoor learning center, which is where our nature preschool class takes place. And we're surrounded by Burton Park, which is a beautiful wooded area, so we're able to take nature hikes and explore the woods around us.
It's a school. I mean, it's an old school. You walk in, it feels like this is those preschool, early childhood students' school.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both for being here. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Ahoy, Minnetonka, where we learn about preschool, early childhood, family education, and junior explorers. Don't forget that January 25th open house at our Early Childhood Family Education Center and MCEC building on Vine Hill Road. And the 30th is the day that registrations open up for preschool. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you around.